Hello, everybody. I am going to allow a couple of minutes for people to hop onto this live, and then we're going to get started. I am super excited about the conversation that Angel, my friend, my daughter, my sister, my friend, is going to be having on today, simply because this is uh, a well avoided topic that people desire not to have, but it's one that's so very needed as it relates to toxic relationships. Um, I think they are definitely um, life life breakers as well as life makers, and so I see that we have three people on. If you would, please grant StreamYard permission so that we can see your name in the comments. If you have not already done so, we would like to know who it is that we're talking to. Especially if you have any questions, we want to be able to address you by name. So that would be totally awesome if you could go ahead and grant StreamYard permission. Hello, Chatney, my accountability partner. That's the my TCA Trailblazer of the Year. We were in Trailblazers Coaching Academy together, and she won Trailblazer of the Year. I always have to celebrate that because that girl, she went through to earn that. She earned that, and so I always love to celebrate her in that aspect. So thank you so much for joining us, AP. I appreciate you. Again, we'll allow some time for people to hop on. Please grant StreamYard permission so that we can address you by name when you post comments into the chat box. And so it is 102. We're going to go ahead and get started. Just want to introduce myself. I am Mrs. Ann, the visionary of Smack Talk. I am also a certified life coach, mindset renovation coach, and my mission is simply to affirm, confirm, mold, and motivate you to be all you were created to be. And my goal is to build trusting and lasting relationships throughout the globe. And so, this is one of the avenues in which I do that by having conversations with my sisters, my mothers, my aunts, and my cousins via Smack Talk with Mrs. Ann. And today, I have once again, like I said, a sister, a daughter, a friend, a cousin, a mother. She's everything. I love Angel so very much. I say daughter first because she's literally young enough to be my daughter. And so I just kind of took her under my wing as such. And I loved on her when we worked together. And so I'm super excited to be able to have this conversation with her, to bring her to the forefront with my audience, just to share her story of what it was like to be in a toxic relationship, to be able to overcome that, and then to be able to master the success of having a blended family because she is a mother. She is an ex military E-Force specialist. And so she's traveled some places and she's experienced some things. And so I'm just going to allow her the opportunity to actually introduce herself to you all.
All right. Thanks, Miss Ann, for having me. First off, I'd like to say that because I'm very blessed and honored to ask me to do this today. So like Miss Ann said, I'm a mother, wife. I'm also a student. I just finished my associate's degree, and I'm working in my bad human resource management. I'm super excited about that. It took me a long time to determine what I wanted to do. So um, I'm really glad that I found that. Love helping people, and in free time I love to bake and decorate cake. So if you need anything, if I can, I love to do it. So I also love traveling in new places. That's basically a little bit about me.
Absolutely. And so I mentioned earlier that we worked together. We worked in a mental health facility together. And at the time, we were both direct care staff. And so shortly after that, after Angel came, and she was actually pregnant with her son at the time, and then she ended up moving away. Broke my heart. She moved away, and so, but I've always kept tabs on her. I've always kept in contact with her because, like I said, she became like a daughter to me. And I just really always hoped and prayed for the best for her. And my goodness, has God showed up and showed out in her life. And so we're just going to really get started. I did want to point out the fact that, again, we're talking about toxic relationships. And so, for those of you that don't understand the concept of what a toxic relationship is, it's basically defined as the characteristics of the behaviors of another person that are detrimental to us mentally, emotionally, and sometimes even physically. And so, a lot of times when we're in relationship with people, we don't understand the level of detriment that it causes us. And unfortunately, we go through these relationships and we just kind of stay there because of our own self insufficiencies, basically. And so we get caught up in these relationships and we stay there sometimes for years upon end. For some people, the relationships are short term, and for others, they're years. I was in, a toxic relationship for 12 and a half years. And so a lot of people wouldn't identify it because it didn't look abusive, right? So, but toxic relationships, the toxicity is not about the physical abuse, it's about the mental and the emotional abuse that goes along with it. And it's very difficult to come out of those relationships. And so, like I said, this is a very avoided conversation for a lot of people, but it's so necessary because there are so many people, especially young people, that are in toxic relationships, and it is literally breaking them down and it is destroying the very fiber of their being. And so they end up not being able to operate in the God given purpose that they have in their life because they stay stuck. And in being stuck in those relationships, then they become stagnant until the point sometimes they just all will just dies off. And so we're going to really get into that because Angel and I, we, like I said, we go back and I remember some conversations that we had. And I'm just going to allow her the opportunity to really talk about at this time what her matter was as it related to being in a toxic relationship.
So when I met Miss Ann, she mentioned I was pregnant, and I was really just looking for any job. At that point, I had no idea that that job was going to be so eye opening to me, who I was going to meet, who I was going to. Um, and at the time, I was with my son's biological father, and I mean, it was draining. I mean, every day I worried, like, what's going to happen? What phone call am I going to get? What job am I going to lose? What car am I going to lose? When's that final phone call going to be? And it took it out of me. And being pregnant, that just wasn't healthy, to have that feeling.
Yeah. And I can definitely identify with all of those questions that goes through the mind. And so as Angel said, she was pregnant, and of course for me, like I said, we worked in a mental health facility, which was a dangerous job in and of itself. And I remember so many times having conversations with her, and I just wanted to like wake up, like wake up, because at the time I was in the midst of my relationship. And so I felt like I was trapped, but I was looking at this beautiful young lady who had so much life ahead of her. And she had the opportunity to meet somebody that was going to love on her for who she was. And I didn't want her to experience what I had experienced for the length of time that I had experienced it. And I didn't want to see another young woman go through what I had gone through. And I was looking at her and just wanting so badly better for her and more for her, and wanting her to really wake up and see, like, you don't have to be here. You don't have to stay here. You don't have to go through this. You don't have to go through the abuse of this because, whether people want to admit it or not, that's abuse. Mental and emotional abuse is abuse. Let's get that out there. Mental and emotional abuse is still abuse. A person doesn't have to lay a finger on you and you can still be abused. And so I wanted so badly for her to just wake up one day and just be like, you know what, I'm not going to go through this anymore, and just go. And so there came a point in her life where she was faced with that decision. And there's a time that there's a point that you come to in being in a toxic relationship where you ask yourself, do I want to continue to stay here or can I leave? And so for you, Angel, I just want to ask you the question, because I know for me, mine was insecurity. Mine was, what was the family going to say? What was my family going to say? What was my family going to think? What was his family going to say? What were they going to think? What were people going to say? What was my church family going to say? So there was a lot of insecurities that I had as it related to staying. What was the thing that kept you there in the relationship that you were in? And what was it that allowed you to be able to walk away? Tell us about that.
So a lot of it was the same type of things. What is my family gonna think of me, that I'm had this baby, I'm pregnant, or by the time I did leave, I had already had my son. But what's it gonna be like when we break up our family? One second, I need to mute my mic.
So we know that as soon as we start doing something, that's when everything becomes detrimental where the family needs us. So that's okay.
Sorry about that. So
That's okay.
that was my son that we're talking about. So yeah, it was a lot of like, what is everybody else gonna think of me? And it did have a lot to do with my insecurities, because I really at that point didn't think that I deserved better. And I thought, this is the best I deserve. I obviously have done something wrong in my life, that made this my path. I had no idea that that wasn't even the case at all.
Yes.
I hadn't done anything to deserve that. And in the back of my head, I'm thinking, I can fix this. I can fix this, because I've always been a fixer. Me and my aunt talked about this the other day. Our family, we've always that's who we are. We were raised that way. Always fix the situation. Everything is going to
Yes.
be okay. So that was really the reason that I stayed, because year after year, I thought I could fix it.
Yes. And yeah, I definitely can relate to that. When you have that fix it personality, which is really codependency. When you have that fix it personality, it really have you in that mindset that if I stay here and I love this person hard enough and I do the right thing and I say the right thing, and I totally um, uh, uh, disregard myself and show this person that it's all about them, that everything is going to be okay. They're going to wake up. And so, unfortunately, that's not the case.
Right.
And so, for me, I had to get to the point where I realized that um, the the desire for the substances was more, it had more of a stronghold than the desire for wanting the family to stay together. And that was very hard for me to accept, because that says, as a woman, that says to you, well, there has to be something wrong with me, because the person desires the substances more than they desire making this thing work. And so that's a real blow to your self esteem, to your womanhood, um, just to you as a person, period. Your entire being, your spiritual well being. For me, the toughest part of me leaving was, or the toughest part of me leaving was, like I said, the part about the family and all of that. But one of the easiest parts of me leaving was the fact that I have a strong spiritual foundation. And I got to the point where I literally started to question. I literally started to question, is there a God? Is there really a God? Like, or is this God that I was taught to believe in? Is this some um, mystical, magical thing that my slave ancestors made up to help them to be able to go through slavery or something. Like, I don't know. I literally started to question, is there really a God? Because we were Christians, we were in the church. I was praying every day that my marriage would make it and my relationships would be better and we would have a strong family foundation. I was literally praying for those things. And it seemed like the more I prayed, the more I talked to God about it, the worse it got. The worse it just, things were not adding up. You know, I was putting two and two in, but I was getting 6, 12, and 8. It was not adding up. So for me, that was my awakening, was like, understanding the scripture. The Bible says, thou shalt not have no other gods before me. So I was putting my relationship first. I was putting what was going on in the relationship first. I wasn't depending on the deliverance of God in order to get me to the next phase. And so, but I also came to this realization also, and maybe you came to this realization too at some point, Angel, was you cannot love a person out of their situation.
Yep.
I don't care how much you love them, you can't love them out of that situation. So going back to that mindset of that fix it mentality, like I can fix this, I can help this person. Like, what point did you realize you couldn't fix him? You couldn't help him. Tell me about that, because we talked about that story and I thought you literally had me in tears. I was like, oh my God.
So, the story that Visan is talking about is I had met these people. They're my friends. Till to this day, they still are. Juan and Jasmine are, and so I met Juan because I was working at Taco Bell at night because my brother was the manager. He got me a nighttime job. You know, it was really for me, especially since my brother's the manager. You know.
Yeah.
And anyways, so this guy Juan, he just kept like he was very pushy. You know, it was like, and for me, I've always, you know, I'm kind of a prettier girl. You know, so for when guys talk to me, I'm always like, why are you hitting on me? Stop hitting on me.
Hmm.
He wasn't like pursuing that type of friendship, and I didn't know that. I kept pushing him away, like dude, like get away from me, you know. But he kept going. Like it was every day I came in, hey, how you doing, Angel? Like, how's it going? How's your family? You know, just real pushy person. And I didn't understand it. And then one day he said to me, you know, I think that you and my girl would get along. He said, I think you guys, you know, you kind of the same. You have, you know, similar personalities, and why don't you just come here and meet her? So I did, and of course, you know, we clicked right away. She's still one of my best, and her birthday was the next, and we went to, was it, is it not a mission? I'm drawing a blank. Cedar Point. So
Hmm.
we went to Cedar Point for her birthday. They asked me to bring keys, of course, and I did. And on the way there, I found out, you know, I chose his substance over having a good day. He was passed out in the back of the car, and I barely knew people. Yes, they were my friends at that point, but we were also with two other people who I worked with, and I really didn't know them. So I was super, super embarrassed, and I didn't know what to do. But part of me, you know, that victim mentality, everything's gonna be okay. You know, he'll wake up by the time we get there. It'll all be good. Like maybe he's just tired. Maybe I'm thinking that he did that.
Mm.
But that wasn't the case. That wasn't the case at all. And I remember we were at, like, vividly, I can remember the exact scenario. We were waiting in line for the roller coaster, and you come up to the line, and they open the gates for people to get on. And we were like, there was a row in front of us, and we were the next people. Well, they opened the gates for the row of people in front of us to get on, and Keith walked out and almost fell, like on the track. The guy that was standing there working had to catch him and ask him to leave. And I was immediately like embarrassed. Like, what do I do? Like, this is the person
Yeah.
that I'm supposed to be with, the father of my child, spouse that I've been with for years at this
Yeah.
point. What are people going to think of me now? And it's not just my coworkers that I'm with. It was hundreds of people,
World.
hundreds of strangers. And my friends just grabbed me and they said, just let him go. Let him go. And that whole day, we let him go. We passed by him on a bench. They told me, oh, just leave him there. The whole day, we didn't see him. We avoided him throughout the whole park. Didn't even think about him. And I almost forgot about him, which is kind of weird to me, to like feel that feeling like I forgot about this man that I've been with for 4 years. How does that
Yeah.
happen? Like what I didn't understand. Why did that happen? And that was really just my waking point. Like I felt like God put those people in my life to say, look, forget about him. You don't need that. Like you deserve to be happy. You deserve to have fun with your life and be free. And that was that was really when I woke up and
Wow.
I said,
Wow. That was, yeah. Um, and unfortunately, everybody doesn't have that type of support system.
yeah,
And when you, like I said, when you told me that story, I was literally like, it still brings tears to my eyes. Just the beauty of knowing. And it reminds me of, and I think when we talked about it the first time, I said, there's a song that keeps coming to my mind. And, and of course, the name of the song eludes me, but in the song, it talks about, um, it's all the overwhelming, never ending, reckless love. That's the name of it. I had to sing it to get the title. But it talks about how that there is no shadow that God won't light up, no mountain that he won't climb up, coming after me.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
And he was pursuing you. It wasn't the friendship that was pursuing you. It was God pursuing you in the midst of the chaos, the trial, the tribulation. And it goes back to when people can tell you something that's good for you, that's beneficial to you, but unfortunately, until God brings the revelation, right? You don't quite get it. You don't quite get it. I was listening to my coach this morning in her book club, and she mentioned the scripture, and I just thought about that scripture again. Was one plants, the other one waters, and God brings the increase. And so it's kind of like I was there to plant a seed in your life, and I'm pretty sure there was hundreds of other people that was planting seeds in your life that says, Angel, you need to let this go.
oh
This
yeah,
is not conducive to your health. And I know for me, I was looking at you and I'm like, girl, like, because you were even having some complications during the pregnancy. And
yeah.
I was like, you don't need this stress, this job, and we running after clients, and you got to do all of this cleaning. And you were like, oh, but I need this job. And I'm like, what is he doing? And so, like, I remember those conversations, and but God was pursuing you, and He was running after you because He says, yes, I have a better plan and purpose for you. I
Yeah,
have something more for you. And lo and behold, you finally decide to leave.
yeah.
Tell us about that story of you leaving.
Oh yeah. So this one's gonna bring tears to my eyes. So my friends Juan and Jasmine that I told you about, they had very little. I mean, they weren't, the richest people. They were rich in love, but they didn't have a lot. They lived in a 2-bedroom house with their 2 daughters, and they texted me and like right after we got home, it was literally like, hours that we had got home from Cedar Point, and they said, hey, if you want a place to go, if you want to leave him and you need a place, like you can come live here, like no strings attached. Like I know we don't have much, but
And stick pin there because this was after you guys got home,
yeah,
but you guys had never had that conversation
no,
about what you were going through.
no,
You never had that conversation about what happened at Cedar Point.
no,
You get home, and here's a conversation. And this just goes to show you guys how, if anybody doubts the love of Christ, that this is not the love of Christ
yeah,
operating in your life. Like you can undoubtedly say, God did it. I should have had on my shirt to say today that said, won't he do it? If you do not believe that there is a God, and he operates through people.
Yeah.
Listen to this.
Yes. They didn't know my story at all. I mean, according to them, they would have known that me and Keith were just fine. I mean, I never once brought it up, hanging out with them. And I had only hung out with them maybe 1 or 2 times before we even went to Cedar Point together.
Mm-hmm.
And they would have never known. Honestly, they wouldn't have, because I hid it well. At that point, it had about 4 years, and I hid it very well. And yeah, they offered that to me, and I just, something in me just like took over. I didn't know what it was, but I just said yes, okay. And I just packed up my Axton, my son, and a bag. I didn't even take everything, I just packed up a bag of clothes, and I went over there. And then that was it. And then the next day we went back to the house that me and Keith at. We got me my mattress and a couple other things, and I stayed with them until I met my now husband.
Yeah, that is, oh my goodness, oh, like, that is so amazing. And so I just want to touch back on the the hardest part about leaving, because I remember during that time that you and your son's father was together, I remember you telling me stories about how you had to do things with the kids.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute, and you a stepmom? Oh my God. I remember that.
Yeah.
So you, for 4 years, had developed a relationship with these children
Oh yeah.
that now you have to not only sever the relationship with the dad, your son, their dad, you have to sever this relationship with these children as well.
Yeah.
Can you kind of touch bases on that part?
That was honestly the hardest part. It was hard for me to leave Keith, but it was really, really hard for me to leave those kids. I still, to this day, I keep in contact with their mom, and I love them so much. And like you said, I developed a relationship with them, and I felt like it was my responsibility to be with Keith, so that way they had a father in their life.
Yeah.
Felt like if I left Keith, then those kids would lose their dad. So I thought it was my responsibility to stay and put myself through that because of those kids. And I can deal with it. I'm a grown woman, but those kids they're young and impressionable, and what's their life going to be like? They have
Yeah.
a great mother and a great stepfather too, but you know, we all kind of know that that's nothing like having a real dad, or knowing
Yeah.
your real dad and then him being absent. And
Presently absent
yeah,
is probably one of the worst things too.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I really felt like it was my responsibility to stay and keep that connection. And I didn't care, but I did care, but I thought to myself, well, I'm a grown woman. I can handle it.
Yes. Yes. And I just want to take a pause right there, allow you to, regroup, because this is a heavy topic. This is really a heavy topic. And as I said earlier, it's a conversation that oftentimes we try to elude, but it's something that's very necessary, because maybe for those that are listening, for those that will catch the replay, maybe this particular situation is not your story. Maybe my situation was not your story, and my story has yet to be told in totality. My story began from childhood. I touched on that when I participated in the book project, Down for the Count, Bouncing Back from Life's Blows. When I told my story, the title of it was The Weapon Was Formed, but It Didn't Prosper. And I talked about growing up in the home with somebody who battled with mental health illness. And so um, that dynamic, that's a toxic relationship. And then going through not one, but two failed marriages. That's those were toxic relationships. And it wasn't even so much that the persons were always the toxic one. I was toxic too because of things that I had experienced in my life. So I was definitely operating in toxic behaviors because I had such a huge sense of lack of control, that I felt like I really needed to control my relationships in order to feel secure, because I didn't know what security looked like as a child because of what I had gone through. And so I felt that I had to operate in such a way to manipulate and control these situations so that I didn't end up getting hurt, when in all actuality, I was what they call self sabotaging. And so I ended up getting hurt anyway. And so, because what do? You end up choosing the wrong person, right? You choose, or I wouldn't even say necessarily the wrong person, because there's a perfect will and permissive will, and God will permit us to do whatever we desire to do in order to let us know that's not the plan and the purpose that I have for you. And so we go through the things that we go through in order for us to get to these various different stages of life. I would not be here today. I wouldn't be having this conversation. I would not have been able to develop a relationship with Angel, had I not gone through the things that I had gone through, and I could see for face value what you were experiencing. And so, if nothing else, I look at it from the perspective, I went through what I went through so that I could pour into you the things that I was able to pour into you for that short period of time. And so, and then here we are today, right? And
Yeah.
we're pouring into the entire nation, right? Into the world, because there may be 6 people viewing this video right now, but this video will never go anywhere, right? And
Yes.
so this video will be seen across the world, across the globe, by thousands and thousands of people, which brings me to this point. For those of you that are watching, please like and share this video, because there is some other young woman that is out there in the world who is in a toxic relationship. There's a young man that is out there in the world that is in a toxic relationship, and they honestly feel that they are trapped, they're stuck, they don't know how to get out of that relationship. And so, if you are somebody who is in a relationship, in a toxic relationship, and you don't know how to get out, and you need help maneuvering that particular relationship, you need to get some tools under your belt in order for you to be able to overcome being in a toxic relationship. Go to my website, www.mrsanbay.com, and you can schedule a consultation with me, and we can talk about whether or not I can assist you in overcoming whatever it is that you're going through in your life. Okay. And so we want to get into, we talked about how you mentioned that you're now married to an amazing young man. I don't know Chris personally, but like I said, I've been watching you since you left Beacon. I have always kept my eye on you because I love you. You are definitely like a daughter to me, and so, of course, we know that Smack Talk is all about sisters, mothers, aunts, and cousins. We are all one, right? You are somebody's sister. You are somebody's mother. You are somebody's aunt. You are somebody's cousin. We all are. We play a role in that aspect, and so we want to just go back and look at how God strategically
Yeah.
planted a seed in your womb, and now we have this blended family. Because here's the thing, guys, for those of you that are watching, there's a lot of women that deal with baby mama drama, right? There's a lot of women and men. I'm not going to say just women. There's a lot of women and men that deal with baby mama drama. Like, the dad doesn't want a child calling another man daddy, and there's a woman that don't want the child calling another woman mommy. But look, we need to get rid of all of that mess, okay? Because that is absolute mess. Period. Point blank. Bottom line. If your children's mom or dad, whichever you may be, the mom or the dad, have found a significant other, and that person is operating in that role, and they're bossing in that role, you should not have a problem if that child desires to call that person mom or dad, because that's a title. right? And it's a title that is deserving of respect and honor. So that whole bit about, a child doesn't have any business calling another person mom or dad or anything like that, miss me with that. That's hogwash, right? And so God can strategically align things up in such a way that it just fits, right? It fits where it needs to fit. And you guys' story is mind-blowingly amazing. And so, first of all, we want to talk about the fact that you had to transition from having your child with his biological father to going into a situation where now you have to introduce your child to somebody else and this person becoming your child's father. Did you face any opposition when it came to your son's biological father and your now husband?
Um, I mean, it was he, he really let go. It surprised me, it really did. But I mean, I understand now why. Maybe that was just God's way of saying, "Hey, this isn't. Maybe this child wasn't meant for him. It was meant for my husband now." And it was like surprising me. That part of that, like not having any beef was real easy for me. But I do understand, when you're saying not wanting another child to call somebody dad, or because when I was with Keith, of course, we mentioned that he had three other children. And at first, the mother of the children and I did not get along because of
Hmm.
that reason. But we quickly came to the realization, hey, if we're both going to be a part of their lives, like that don't matter. So
Hmm.
I really wanted to point on that too. Like if somebody has somebody else in their life and they're doing good with your kids, like it is not that big of a deal. Just let them be good with your kids, and that's influential on the kids' life. It has nothing to do with your life. It has nothing to do with the stepmom or the stepdad's life. It has to do with those kids' life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the things that I always say, for my family, like especially my oldest daughter, is in my kids, period, because I have six, and so, but it's like, they have so many aunts and uncles and moms and dads because I grew up I'm a '70s baby, so I grew up in an era and I grew up in the projects, right? I grew up where everybody was mama and daddy.
Mm.
Everybody was auntie and uncle. And so it was it for me, it's like it's odd for me to call a person by their name, like it's depending on the age level or whatever the relationship status, that's mom. I call a person mom or dad or aunt or uncle, and that's how I raise my kids. So when, they're introducing these these family members, to their significant others, it's like, okay, well, how's this person related to you? Well, it's not really, but that's my mom's brother, because that's how we grew up. And
Yeah.
so for me, it's not that big of a deal. But I know whenever my husband and I, when we met, and to this day, society might say, oh, there was something wrong with that. There was something going on. But I promise you, I did not know my husband. I had no intentions on marrying this man. I did not want to get remarried or anything like that. But now looking back, I realize that God has a plan and a purpose for everything. And I don't care what it looks like, He will turn your mess into a message, right? And so, it was like, initially right on, I was told, I don't want this person doing anything for my children. I don't want this person to buy my kids anything. I don't want them to do anything, blah, 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 blah. And of course, my husband is that individual that it doesn't matter who it is. If he can take care of somebody, if he can pour into somebody, that's just his character. Period. We weren't even dating. We didn't even, there was no inkling that there was going to be a relationship. My mom's car broke down and he had two cars. He brought her other vehicle. He brought his other vehicles to her and said, hey, it's just sitting in my yard. You can drive it, and so that's the way he is. So that part, I can get, but when you're in a situation where you have the parent who is just absolutely disassociating themselves with the child. Like you said, that kind of makes it a little bit easier. And so was there any discrepancy with his father? I mean, with his family, where they were like, "Oh, she's got this other guy," or anything like that? Or were you not in community with his side of the family?
Yeah, I really wasn't. Family and I weren't really that close when we were together anyway. I mean, we developed a bond just because natural, being around.
Mhm.
Um, I would say the only person, I mentioned that the other kid's mom because she ended up being a really big part of my life. Um,
Mhm.
we would go to ball games together, and just we developed a friendship. And she was very, because she understood from being with him too. She understood. She said, she did what was right. And she reassured me that everything was going to be okay, and that's
Wow.
nice that she had done that, and it made it easier for me to say, okay, this is the right path.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So tell us the story about because now let me just give this tidbit. So what made me reach out to Angel is number one, um, I had been praying about the direction for Smack Talk with Mrs. Ann and what I wanted to do. I wanted this platform to really be about women coming together and having conversations to be able to empower other women to be able to get their stories out so that because a lot of times we go through things privately and we're not willing to share those things publicly, right? Because we're embarrassed, we're ashamed. We think that people are going to look down on us. There's a wide variety of different reasons why we don't tell people where we come from. People look at our story, they look at the glory, but they don't know the story. They don't know what it took for us to get there. Like I said, if you had met me 10 years ago, I would not be sitting in this chair having this conversation live on Facebook, nonetheless. So, but thank God for an amazing coach. Shout out to Coach C. Thank God for an amazing coach. Thank God for somebody who was willing to pour into me and to make me believe in myself, and not make me believe in myself, but to encourage me to believe in myself. And so, telling this story publicly, I pray to God that somebody somewhere will hear this and their life will be forever changed because Angel Rausch Larson decided to tell her story. Antoinette Jeffries Bay decided to tell her story. So please share with us like the good news about, and that's what made me reach out was I saw the post about the adoption and I was like, yes, 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 yes. I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, this is so super exciting. And I was like, I'm not gonna bother her.
Well, I'm
Let
so
me message her. Let me see if she'll be willing to tell this story publicly. And so that's how that went. So, but tell us about that, you being able to share that good news. Oh my gosh.
I'm so glad you did reach out to Miss Ann because I'm really honored, like, to share this. And like you said, I hope it can change somebody's life and that they can realize like it's not always a dark tunnel, that there is light at the end of a dark tunnel.
Yes.
You don't have to stay just because like that's the road you can see does not mean you can't go off road and create your own path. Or,
Mm-hmm.
if you get a gut feeling, you just don't understand why, just follow it, especially when you are in a bad situation and you're just like, well, that seems like a good situation, but I don't know, that's too sketchy. Like, just listen and do it. Just take chances,
Right.
because when you take chances with that, and most of the time it's God telling you, look, this is what you need to do. So sorry, I got off on that because I wanted to say that, but
Yes, no problem.
yes. So the adoption, yes. So my husband has had problems having children. We've been trying for about a year now and no luck. But good news is that have started the process of adoption. It's looking really good. It's looking like, will soon be officially Axton Larson. And we are very glad to just bring the family together. And not that we don't already have that,
Mm-hmm.
um, but it's just it just ties that bond together. And I know that it's a big part of my husband's life, and I know means a lot to him to be able to like officially, I should say illegally call,
Yes.
call Ashton his son. And I'm just so blessed and honored that this is really happening.
Yeah. And I just want to really just kind of dig into that. And I know you got to go, you got engagement. And so we're going to be wrapping up here, but I just really want to really touch bases on that. Why that's super, super, super exciting. Thank you so much. Chadney said, congratulations on the adoption. Um, yes, Jessica, the name change thing is totally amazing.
Yeah.
And so why that's so amazing that this happened. And so if we go back to, what was it, 2000, what year was that, like 2012?
When I met you,
Yeah, was it 2011, 2012?
oh, it
Because
was
my daughter, no, it was about 2010, because my daughter was in Afghanistan. Well, when was Ashton born?
it was after I joined the military, so it was after 2012. It was around like 2015.
Oh, was it that late? Jeez,
Yeah.
oh Peters. Maybe, oh, I guess I had been there that long.
Yeah.
So um so during that time, right, there was a situation where we look at the overall, right?
Hmm.
Angel, bad relationship, and I'm not even gonna say bad. I hate to use that term bad. Purposeful relationship, right? She's in this relationship. It wasn't conducive to her health, mentally, physically, emotionally, or spiritually. She was in this relationship. She got out of this relationship. She meets this man who is unable to have children, right? Dad doesn't want anything really to have to do with the child. Listen, listen. I literally feel like this is like literally the story, and I'm not comparing you guys to Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, but it's literally like God presenting his gift, right, to somebody who desired a gift,
Yeah.
and because of how it transpired, undoubtedly that this is God's plan, right?
Absolutely.
A, B, C, D, E. There are certain things that happen that we make it happen, right? We make these things happen because of choices that we make. We make plans, and we plan to do this and we plan to do that. And then there are just some things that, prophetically speaking, God did that, right? Just like he spoke and things came to existence, right? Just like he planted Jesus in Mary's womb, right? And here we have Christopher, Angel, and
Axton.
Axton, sorry, becoming a family, right? Why? Because of God's divine plan and purpose, his perfect will, right? The permissive will allowed you to, because you allowed yourself to be formed, right, into this woman that God had for you to become, allowed you to wiggle right into his perfect will. And here an adoption is getting ready to take place. And so now Axon is going to really know the love of a father, right? Christopher is going to really know the love of a son. He's going to really know the love of his wife. Like, this is just amazing. This is just, talk about the divine miracles of God. This is like a miracle relationship. There's miracles in healings, there's miracles in a lot of stuff, but this is like a miracle relationship in my eyes. That's just my perception, guys. Just my perception, right? Because nobody could plan this in their own self. Nobody could plan this like this at all. So there's some people may be wondering like how you met your husband and all of that kind of stuff. And so, like I said, Angel does have another engagement that she has to go to. So we're going to wrap up. I am going to say this. If you have questions for Angel, please feel free. If you're catching the replay, please feel free to go to the comment section and post your questions. She can come back and answer those questions. This story has been, like I said, in my post, nothing short of amazing. This is truly a miracle. I thank you so very much for sharing my platform, allowing your story to be told to the nation. And I definitely, definitely am continuing to pray for you. I'm definitely continuing to cover you guys, your entire family. I wish you nothing but peace, love, and blessings over your family. And again, as I said earlier, please, if you are catching the replay or if you guys are watching live, please like and share this video. I'm praying that somebody somewhere in this world will be touched by hearing Angel's story, and they will come to the realization that they don't have to stay stuck in a toxic relationship. And even if you have moved beyond the point of the toxic relationship and you're out there, you're searching for love, do know, trust, and understand that there is definitely a place for you as it relates to operating in a blended family and being able to do that successfully. So you don't have to go through strife. If you have any questions as it relates to how to maneuver through any obstacles that you're having related to having a blended family, you can definitely, like I said, go to the comment section, leave any questions that you have for Angel, and either one of us can answer those questions as we both have experienced what that's like. I have gone through the transitioning in the blended family and it not being so good in the beginning. Unlike Angel, where hers just kind of, smoothed itself out. I've had to deal with the strife of it, so I do understand what that looks like as well. And so, but it is possible. We are a blended family now, and we get along just great. And so it is possible. It's definitely possible. So thank you guys for joining us on Smack Talk with Mrs. Ann. Once again, it is your girl, Mrs. Ann, the visionary of Smack Talk, where Smack stands for sisters, mothers, aunts, and cousins. And my mission is to affirm, confirm, mold, and motivate you to be all you were created to be. And my mission is, and my goals is simply to encourage and support to develop and lasting relationships throughout the globe. So go to my website, www.mrsanbay.com. You want to sign up for my blog where you can get inspirational content there, and definitely follow me on Facebook at mrsanbay.com. And again, if you have any questions for Angel, go to the comment section, post your questions, and she can come back and answer those. Share this video. Please share this video. You can even do a watch party and just have a conversation with your viewers on what it is to overcome a toxic relationship and master a blended family successfully. You guys have an amazing rest of your weekend, and don't forget, go and talk smack to somebody.